Hi, everybody. This is Mike Malai here, along with my longtime writing partner, Rich Cotieri, and our tech whiz, Scott Graham, storyteller himself, actually. We're coming to you from our Words to Film by weekly meeting, and we're here to talk today. We're going to start breaking down a little bit of what's been the big topic on everything, even while I was on vacation this week, that everybody's asking me about AI, and asking questions and talking about it. Mostly auto industry people, marketing people, and they're saying, "Hey, are you worried about, screenwriting going away to the whole artificial intelligence thing?" And I said, "No, it's funny you should ask." So we're gonna that kind of prompted me to break this down a little bit, and it is uh, completely changing the filmmaking game. And we're here to help all of our Words of Film by members, content creators, industry professionals, or just everyday people who are looking to tell a story, navigate how to navigate this whole tech shift into this exciting time, especially with our book, Words to Film by, as a guide, 500 questions to ask your fictional character, write like a creator. If you follow all of that and go along with some of the stuff here, you'll be able to take yourself to the next level. We're going from the typewriter to a PC, a Mac, and it's everything's changing. So, like I said, everybody's been talking about this and about the issues surrounding AI. And so that's why I thought this was really important today. So in some ways, it's the storytelling industry, kind of our State of the Union address today. So first off, let's talk a little bit about what's happening in pre-production. AI is now smart enough to read your script. We have tools that can do that, um, suggest improvements, or even turn a scene description into a rough storyboard in seconds. I mean, this means directors now and other writers can visualize their ideas fast, quick, instead of hiring somebody like me to do sketches and spend hours and hours to get a couple panels done. They can go ahead and visualize some of their creations, especially a fictitious character that they've created. Now they can go ahead and uh, help keep their creative spark going with our words to film by approach by using these new tools. And we're building new tools all the time trying to help everyone keep ahead of the curve. So if we move on into production, AI steps in to sort out scheduling, logistics. Advanced systems can arrange shooting sequences and manage resources, even predicting delays with a built-in weather app on some of this stuff before it happens, those delays. So
Call sheets.
what's that?
They can do call sheets.
Yeah, call sheets. It'll do the call sheets. Even with virtual production techniques, they're taking off. Real-time CGI. You know, uh, Rich and I have both wore dots on our faces for doing a voiceover or for being in a scene in a green screen, where some of that isn't necessary anymore. It's changing, in the simplest of ways, where it was in the hands of a few, and now it's being put in the hands of the many. Which a lot of these tools, much of the stuff that Scott's working on is gonna make your storytelling experience a lot easier. You know, um, Even in post-production, AI tools, can do everything from editing, color grading, color correction, visual effects, audio stuff, just on a click, with a couple simple commands. They can sort through hours of footage. Hey, I'm trying to find something, and long as it's integrated, it can find the best takes. It can even enter in new scenes that blend perfectly with live action. I remember years ago, I was at Star Power and I met Gary Marshall, just a very nice guy, producer, Penny Marshall's brother. And he was enthralled with CGI. He was talking to us about how he was filming a scene and there was a tree right there. He couldn't go on the other part because he didn't have a permit to go past the sidewalk onto the berm. So he wanted to get the shot, and he was upset. And he said they needed to get that, but that thing was in the way, and they had no other options. So they were trying to while they were trying to figure out, can we call the city, get something done? What are we going to do? Cut the tree down? He goes, they took it out in post, and several weeks later, that tree was gone for the whole scene. And he was just enthralled over it. Well, now it's a little click around it, it's gone. So those kind of things, they've really changed it, and it saves hours and you know you know eons of paperwork and nonsense to get something simple done. For screenwriters and storytellers like us using our method, uh, this it means more effective brainstorming sessions, fresh ideas without losing the story's emotional punch. I mean, Rich and I have been writing probably. I know me 40 years, Rich probably 40 years. You know, from the time I had a piece of paper, I was telling stories, whether it was on a cartoon, a painting, short stories, skits, all that stuff. And Rich the same way. It doesn't change for me. What it is doing is saving time. It's reducing the amount of effort in a workflow, and it's still my ideas, and it just helps me get there. And then, hey, it's like getting the suggestions. Hey, maybe you're going in the wrong direction here. You left this out. Where's your inciting incident? Where's your timeline going? You seem to have stepped off. Hey, why did you put that gun on the wall and showed it? You shouldn't have it there. Unless it's going to propel the story and it means anything, get rid of that. Why did you mention it? Those kind of things, you know, built into the system, telling my story with it helping. It's far. It's like having a Rich Gotiri as a writing partner. Um, it, I've written with a lot of people, and pretty much uh, it takes a long time to find a good partner. Let alone a writing partner is the hardest thing, and we're pretty much on the same page. Having a great collaborator and a great assistant and a great overseer is what you can have with using our words to film by method and using AI behind it. So it's especially on brainstorming and let's flesh out these ideas, you know, given our own stories, a freshness with our own emotional punch, thrown in there together. And I think Rich can testify to this with actors and performers. They're not left behind either, with improvements in the whole motion capture, digital avatars, and new technologies. They're, they're a brand new way of bringing characters to life and creating characters. Um, it wasn't that long ago. Look at Planet of the Apes. Andy Serkis. He's filming with a piece of cardboard. They're on a stick, and he's talking to them, and they dropped him in CGI wise. So he was running around on dots with these little. So it's like it's interactive. This will just make things a lot simpler. Any takes on the acting part of it, Rich?
I think actors are afraid they're going to be replaced, and I don't think that is the case. I think that's going to help them. I think it's going to make life easier for them. It's going to be safer for them instead of having to do crazy things. I think it's going to help them if they use it properly. It'll help them build their character. It could help them build their characters. It could help them understand story better. I think it's a tool they can use instead of being fearful of it. I don't think actors are going to ever go away. I really do not. I'm an actor. I'm not fearful of it at all. Um, I think it could be a little bit of trouble maybe for voice actors. Um, but as far as acting goes on screen, in theater, television, I don't think that's never going to go away. It can only enhance it. It's not going to go away.
Yeah, and I know, especially with the studio and other projects, you do a lot of marketing, you do a lot of boosting, you do you spend a lot of time on social media, even though you don't like social media, you spend a lot of time on it promoting and that. I think on the marketing side, AI is going to help a lot being able to tailor trailers and using the social media posts to target the right audiences, boosting engagement. And
It'll save hours. Listen, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. So why be fearful? You have to embrace it. I mean, it's like CGI. I mean, you have to embrace these things.
well, I remember there was such an outcry, when they were saying they're using CGI. You're doing things that guy should not. That should have been done by a stunt artist, not done digitally. You're
Right.
taking jobs away. Well, no, it's also reducing your cost of putting out a film. It's like you have to insure that guy. You have to you have to it has to the whole project on that one scene has to be underwritten. Because it's dangerous. You can do things in CGI and now with AI that is almost cost prohibitive for some of the films. Now it kind of opens up the door. I remember for some of the first CGI, if I'm not wrong, Rich, it looked pretty fake. But we were all amazed by it. You look back at it now, 20 years later, and you're going,
Of course.
oh, that looks so hokey. But then we were going, wow, that's unbelievable.
Of
You know?
course. Yeah. Well, you could do stuff on your home computer. I mean, people making short films could add fire and gunshots, and it was a big deal. But I
Oh
just think
yeah,
being fearful of something is not because somebody's fearful doesn't mean it's going to go away. It's not going to
right.
go away. And who knows what's going to happen in 10 or 20 years with other things that aren't even invented yet. So, I mean, you can't live life that way. So find a way to embrace these things and use them to your advantage. I mean, it's going to happen anyway. So I don't understand all these people who are so afraid of everything.
And angry about it too. I mean, it's just like
I think those are people that are just, I hate to use the word cheating or cheaters, but those are people maybe who are fearful of like, well, people can just then write their own script. They can
yeah.
they can just put it into AI. Well, if you're not one of those people, then what are you worrying about?
Can I jump in
Are
here?
you saying
Can I
that
jump in
they're
here a
better writers
second?
than you?
Hop,
Can
hop
I
in.
jump in?
Yes, please.
The one thing that as coming from the outside that I notice, and especially now that I signed up for X.com, and I'm running around the circles where there's the AI people and the filmmaking people. A lot of people are like, well, like this one guy's like, well, no, you have to learn how to sketch. That's not fair. And I want to say, as a guy who can't even draw a stick figure, for him to say that I have to learn how to sketch like him in order to be able to participate is bullshit. The fact that I now can access this stuff and do things I never did before doesn't mean that my stories are good. It just means I get past the barrier of having to sketch. Now,
I'd like to answer that though, what you just said, what that guy said and what you said. So this is one thing that I've always said, and long before AI. Just because you can't draw the Mona Lisa doesn't mean you're not creative.
right.
You know,
That's my point. I'm
it's
very
it's
creative, but I can't draw like at
it,
all.
but what that does was they gave you a pen and a brush and paint to be able to have an outlet for your creativity. So AI is that outlet.
Yeah,
So
but you still have to be creative in AI. You still have to
Correct.
use
oh
your
yeah,
creativity. You
absolutely.
still have to
Well,
use your imagination. Teddy
well,
had a question.
Well, not only that though, let me finish my point. And what I was going to say is that what I've learned over the last 10 months is that just because you have this tool doesn't mean that it produces good stuff.
Right.
You still have to follow the rules. And we're going to do this experiment. I'm going to show prompts with and without the context of words to film by in it. And I promise you, there's a huge difference. I know because I'm using it, and we're about to bake it into the cake so that everyone can see it. But the truth of the matter is, as brilliant as someone is, if they don't have kind of a framework or a way of approaching things, then the results are not going to be the kind of results that are really groundbreaking. It'll be interesting and novel, but they won't like go to the next level. That's all I had to say about that.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I mean, and all those naysayers, I mean, some of the stuff is valid, it's like, you know, but they jump to conclusions like, we're both members of the Screen Actors Guild. Rich is also with the theater guild and all that, and producers. So, some of them panic about it. The Directors Guild and the Producers Guild haven't. I haven't heard much outcry by them. And one of the biggest voices screaming is the some of the actors, the activist actors that are saying, hey, they're going to take my image and they're going to use it without my permission. Well, I'm sorry, no, they won't, because it's like when you're doing a project, we all sign papers. Hey, you can use me for this, this, and this, but if you're going to reshoot or do anything else, they have to pay me for this. If they do it with AI, you know, um, you know, and say, hey, Bob, we're going to use you again, but we don't need you. We will pay you for using your image, but we're going to reshoot this scene. Just as if they re-edited and had to bring him in to do a re-voiceover, you get paid. So they're not going to do that because you're paying for the likeness. If they do that, they're going to get sued if they put you in something that you didn't have permission. Hey,
Well,
cool.
that's what
I'm going to
SAG and
sue you.
AFTRA have to, and that's what the union. That's where our union comes in to fight for us.
Right,
I
and
don't. I
they're
don't know why
protecting
anybody's
us.
free. I don't know. I'm in the Dramatist Guild, which is the playwriting unit, union, and I don't hear much about this. I don't hear them going crazy about this. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
And you
Seems,
and you know why? Because that's all live performances.
I was gonna say that's live performance. I
And
think if anything, it's gonna
yeah,
bring back that
but
horror.
you could still have someone just write a play through AI.
and, and until they come up with holographic imagery, I don't think the stage has to worry about that too much.
That's for actors. I'm talking about for writers. You
Oh,
can
for
still have
writers either.
writers write a play that way, but they're not worried about it.
The fact that an AI agent is going to write a play that's going to be award winning is just because someone's going to spend the time to do it. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be the way things are done going forward, because art is art, and I care about Rich's art and Mike's art more than I do the AI's art, if I could say it that way.
Right.
And that's
I mean,
not what we're about. We're not about putting your
it's
ideas into creating a script that way. We're about to using the tools to help with the script that you've written.
The same way you always have.
Yes.
here's the thing. Even though it's saying, okay, I agree, maybe it's not all smooth sailing. The big challenge is the risk of losing that irreplaceable human touch. Over relying on AI might lead to routine, formulatic, storytelling. Hey, this is the formula, and I'm telling it this way, and I'm using the AI to do it. Well, something we definitely we avoid, using words to film by. Our focus is always on using AI to support and enrich your creativity, not replace your unique, predictable human spark. I mean, if you've seen how Rich and I jump back and forth in storytelling, it's like, oh my God, this is an ADD tornado. So it's like we still follow the rules, we still follow that thing, but we beat up scenes, we go back and forth. I think if somebody was listening in on us, they wouldn't know what the hell we're talking about. We just understand each other. And your AI that you train using words to film by and all that here in our environment, it will know you and it will understand you and it will get what you're trying to do, and it will put the commas and the the misspelled words and correct it. So that it's like the best spell check ever invented.
You still choose the words that you still choose the words that you want in your script.
And honestly, you're directing things, and if look, you can, like anything else, you can turn something on. Look, no one has an automatic machine yet, but it's not that hard. What we're talking about here is adding a bunch of compute. Okay, a bunch of compute, and you can have these things. I'll do a demonstration. It's hard to explain on this show today, but at the end of the day, it's still art we're talking about. And
Oh, absolutely.
when they brought the camera into the world, everyone needs to go back and read what the Copyright Office said. They're like, this is the exact argument we had about photography. We had a real hard time with this, but then we went back and saw what happened when photography came on the scene. And you know what the artists at the time were saying? You cannot claim that that's copyright because you didn't paint that. It's the exact same it's the exact same it's the exact same argument. Like, you don't have the talent. You painted that sunset. Your name is Ansel Adams. I get it. You're a great guy, but you know what? You don't have the soul of it that I do. And I'm like, what? My stuff doesn't have any soul in it. What are you talking about? It's the same exact argument, and they're gonna lose. You know why? Because it's done deal.
Oh yeah, it's a done deal. Once the Copyright Office accepted it and said, "Hey, you can have an assistant that's an AI."
But wait, we got rejected already because they're saying we were going to do a whole thing on this. Remember, Mike, we have to look at this, but I got rejected on sole identity because they said that, oh, this looks like to us like the AI created it, and that's just not true. So we've got this other problem that is created here that we have to figure out, which is to get our students across the line and our other professionals to get them across the line with this AI assisted stuff without getting turned down on copyright. Because if you have Grammarly touch it, it it automatically has been AIified. So that's something we're working on.
Yeah, and it is. It's like here's my idea. I want like I want to do a story about Captain Hook suddenly becomes real, and he's striving to find a real hand. You know, all right. So there's my idea. Now, where do I take it from here? Can you give me some suggestions? You know, that's collaboration. Now that would be me talking to Rich. You know, you know. Scott talking to me, when people are collaborating together, that's what it is. And now with the understanding models that are there that really think, it's like saying they can make suggestions, but it's up to you to make the decision of which way to go. That makes you a writer. That makes you a creator. You still were the impetus for this story. Even if you went to the point where I challenge anybody to say, "Hey, I don't know what to write about. Can you give me some ideas?" You ever see a prompt book before AI? It was like they gave people ideas of what to write about. I remember a group of writers back in the 90s in Los Angeles. They would take in a bag, they had all these cut up ideas written on pieces of paper. They reach in the bag, pull it out, and say, "Okay, we'll start the scene with this. It's a dog. Let's start the scene with the dog. You know, a dog and a cup of coffee. Okay, so now you're going to take those ideas and put it together. Who came up with it? The bag or the guy that reached in the bag and said, 'Hey, we're going to write the story about this?'" It's that same premise, except now it's got some intelligence, like an actual person, to help you through those ways. I mean, I I know it's kind of a question for the legal aspects and the tech developers and the other creative minds, but here we set our own clear, fair standards for everything that we do. So it's it's about you can't lie to yourself. Hey, this is my story. I know I wrote this. I've got a half a dozen books that show that this is what I did before. Here's all these dozens of screenplays we've written and others. I mean, Rich, you couldn't fill a room with everything that Rich has written. It would take a building over the years.
And nothing's going to replace experience.
Yeah. I mean, you go to the film schools, they tell them go out and listen to people talking, go into a coffee shop and or listen to conversations. You'll come up with ideas. Well, what are you doing? You didn't live it. You're going listening to other people's lives. You're listening on other people talking. You haven't experienced it, but you're still using those ideas from other people to write with. You know, I don't think I would ever run out of anything to write about. I mean, the other concern is job displacement. That's what everybody's worrying about. I think Rich touched on that a little earlier. You know, it but though AI is taking on the more routine tasks in editing and production, and the specialists need to adapt. Colorists and everyone else need to adapt by focusing on the creativity that only humans can bring. Learn how to use the AI tools to do that to still do your function, and you know, uh, you know, here words to film by we're trying to create a system where AI handles the repetitive work, leaving you free to focus on the art of storytelling, like Scott just mentioned. And we're always keeping an eye on technical issues too. You know, like algorithm, how do they call it? Algorithmic biases that are kind of built into the cake.
Bias is a
On,
big deal. That
on,
bias is the big deal, and that's something we're working on too. But at the end of the day, all of this stuff is brand new. Okay, it's not even really version 1. I would say it's like version 0.7, you know, and that's why it's important, you know, that over the last 10, 11 months, we really dove into this to see what's going on. And now we can see where it's going. And that's, you know, the tools that you're going to use are going to be really the kind of tools that Rich and Mike have always used. It's just that you're going to have a little more interactive experience, I think. And it's just going to, if anything, as I've been using this stuff, it makes it really interesting and fun.
Yeah, you know, and you say, hey, as an industry professional or somebody that just wants to tell stories, you know, what are you supposed to do during this? Keep learning, stay updated, you know, with us on how AI is evolving in film through workshops or seminars, online courses. You know, our platform, Words to Film by, has resources designed. Scott's working on a ton of stuff designed for that purpose. Use your AI as a partner in your creative process, not a replacement for your vision.
If I could just piggyback on that, Mike, I think everything you said makes total sense to me. As a writer in progress and someone who doesn't have the depth of experience with character development or scene development, I think what's inspiring for me, writing individually without a collaborative partner, is getting over those roadblocks, because I think a lot of writers get stopped in the middle of their project because they feel like they can't get over that block.
Nope, he's frozen. He's frozen.
Oh, what happened? Did he freeze?
He's frozen.
He's frozen.
Okay, let's go on.
Okay, so that's okay. Yeah, I got what you said, Ted. I agree. It also helps to build partnerships across different fields. You know, work with tech experts. Machine learning specialists that like Scott. You know, putting this together. Don't forget to advocate for fair use and clear standards. You know, your own voice matters when it comes to protecting intellectual property and ensuring everyone, you know, from creators to actors, is treated fairly. And that's what we're aiming for here. So, also looking ahead, the film industry as a whole has to become even more integrated, you know, where digital tools and classic making kind of merge. And that's one of the things that Rich and Scott and I are really looking forward to. You know, yes, we will work, as Rich and I are actors, and Scott is a bit of an actor too from his past.
No, I'm not.
We will work with virtual actors one day. You know, smarter CGI and machine assisted editing. You know, is even becoming more common. Mastering those tools is going to be a huge advantage for anyone. You know, Words to Film by, tries to show that we believe that the future of filmmaking is about blending technology and using that with genuine human creativity, and storytelling can balance both, with tech and your own knowledge, and it'll help you, complete your project and shine. I mean, to put it in a nutshell, AI is shaking up the filmmaking in a big way. I mean, I think we can all agree on that. And that's one of Scott, Rich, and my goals, that is to gear you up with this tech shift and help you focus on continuous learning, using AI as a creative sidekick, fostering partnerships, and advocating for fair practices. You can make sure your voice is stored forefront of this whole industry. And for those that aren't here right now, that may be watching this, learn more and get started, for free with our AI tools and resources by visiting www.school.com/words to film by. Together, we can use AI to take the art of filmmaking to new heights, and still keep, your personal human touch, and make every story forgettable.
That's
unforgettable, not forgettable.
and that's SKOOL.com. School.
Yes.
SK.
skool.com.
All right, everybody. Thank you for spending time with us, and we'll see you another time.